Welcome along to EXFL Tier 2 Season 12. We're here for round 15 out of 20. It's the Singapore Grand Prix, and we're here for qualifying, where for the first time this season, yes, 15 races, meaning 30 sessions in, we finally have a wet-affected session. The only spot of rain we have seen in 14 weeks in Tier 2 was right at the end of the British Grand Prix, in the last few laps where it started to rain, but it was nowhere near interlevel. Here at Marina Bay, it is pouring down where the full wets are required, and maybe some people opting for intermediates too. But yeah, we are approaching the final quarter of the season after today, and this is the 29th session of the season, and finally we have had some rain about, so this will change a few things potentially. We're still waiting on one more of Grush to join in qualifying. But for now, we're right on board with the Tier 2 World Championship leader of Oren around the streets of Singapore. Not been his best track in the past in terms of results. Of course, Season 9 was where it started to be the downfall after this race of Oren's charge when he was fighting Seb. He was obviously the hunter. Now he's being the hunted by Samurai, trailing by 26 points. It's been a bit back and forth. 43, 18, 33, now down to 26 points. So just over one win separates the top two in the championship. Samurai, who's racing on a LAN, I think, so his Wi-Fi is a bit iffy, I think. So if he's a bit laggy today, or maybe even disconnects, considering he never really does, you know why. But hopefully it'll go well. And as for Oren, I'm sure he'll want to put the Season 9 blunders to bed. Obviously, it wasn't really his fault per se for his performance in Season 9. But he'll be back now after, I'm sure, what was a disappointing Baku. The tyre wear of the rears really not helping him out last week. And as you can tell there, through the exit of turn 3, he's kicking up the tyres at the back, really trying to get the power down. So because it is a wet session, and I have no idea if it's going to get better or stay the same, the gaps could be quite big. I mean, we've seen a few big gaps over the course of this season, but this one could be something, depending on what. But you never know. Last week, Eggy and Oren were covered by just under a tenth, but then third onwards was about 4 tenths behind. We'll see who's good in these conditions. The last rain-affected qualifying session I can remember in Tier 2 was actually the first race of last season, which saw Samurai on pole in Australia. So we'll see how that checks out. So we got Jack in his second race after scoring P11 last time out, just coming close to some points. He's in the way, though, of Cow, who I guess he's on a lap, but he's invalidated, so won't cost him too much then. So yeah, there are 11 people, and Grush should make it 12, and there are 2 of them who have not scored a point in Tier 2. Obviously Jack, because he's only done one race, this is his second, and Deadgun, who has not scored a point. Both of their career bests have been 11th, so maybe we'll get a new point scorer today. Deadgun, who's doing his, I think it's around like his 10th race or something like that. So Callum sets the benchmark on the inters, a 49.9. Oren goes just over a quarter of a second quicker than that with a 49.6. And around the final corner is Deadgun to cross the line, and he's a couple seconds adrift. We've got 2 cars heading into the Anderson Bridge, Samurai and the Red Bull of, I think, Cookster getting out of the way. So the Williams finishes the middle sector split then, 20.0. It is a bit of an array of wets and intermediates. Yeah, it's about half and half. The 2 Haas cars, Toby and Fnatic, who shocked right at the end of qualifying to lock out the second row in Baku last week. We'll see what they can do. Obviously, Fnatic, newest race winner in EXFL Tier 2, sporting the Stars and Stripes livery. He's a few weeks early for that one. Anyway, Samurai around the final corner. It's a 1 minute 50.7 to put himself 1 second off Oren's time. But I'm sure Samurai will go again. I'm sure a lot of these guys are fueled for multiple laps. And you can see on the left-hand side of the track, nearly everyone is there. That the Haas, the Alpine, the Mercedes, the Ferraris, and the 2 Astons, with the Red Bull not too far behind. We got Yannick on the intermediates, 19.4, so he's 6/10 quicker than Samurai in the middle. So he could definitely slot himself into third. Could he dislodge any of the Aston Martins, as they are on the provisional front row at the moment? Round the final corner, treacherous conditions for these drivers as Yannick crosses the line and does go P3. Jack's already about to hit the time of what Oren set of a 49.6 in a couple seconds. Fnatic crosses the line, he'll be going again as Cal goes ahead of Deadgun, 1.9 down. Cooks is invalid as Dello begins his lap of the Marina Bay Circus. Oren goes even quicker as Dello, really close to track limits there into turn 1, just gets away with it, bouncing over the first few corners, exiting turn 3. Looks planted, but he's got on the exit so far after, and he's already losing the car as he heads into the exit onto the straight. Also struggling for traction then. Bit of traffic up in front of him though. Finishes the first sector split. We'll get our read of it, 31.9. Because I'm going to assume Oren's doing 31s as well then. If we're just dipping there through the technical sector 2. Goes the Mercedes. As there we go, Cal gets out of the way. Finally, the yellows of cars just moving out. As Dello, who a couple of weeks ago finished second in Netherlands after returning to the league. He left just before the halfway stage of the season. Samurai improved to be only 2/10 behind Oren, so game on at the front between the top two. They're both on wets. Callum on inters, Yannick on inters, Cal wets, Deadgun wets, Fnatic's going again. He's definitely a couple seconds adrift. Yeah, he's about 1 to 2 seconds off. So we look back to Dello, 18-1 middle sector for the Mercedes. So yeah, he's a reserve still. Dello, after rejoining, got P2 a couple weeks in the Netherlands for Mercedes. Missed last week, back this week. Definitely going to be a spanner in the works, just like Fnatic is in terms of the battle at the front. But unfortunately, Dello has invalidated. So this lap won't count as we're about halfway done with the session. And while that might be a blow right now, I'm sure the lap times are going to increase more and more. It was a 48.7, which would have put him on top by about 6/10 as Oren goes even quicker, 48.0. So he's found a lot of track improvement there. And by the look of cutting the corner, he's either heading into the pits this lap or he just wants to get round as quick as possible. Samurai was up by 1.2 seconds in the first sector alone, but unfortunately he's invalidated, so these lap times are getting exponentially quicker. As look at that, Yannick's found 6/10 in the first sector alone too. So Cookster through the hairpin on the exit then. Dello invalidated as well, so he'll have to wait another lap. And as for the constructors, obviously, RB overtook Aston last week to be 6 points ahead after they were trailing by 14. Last week, there was 2 RBs and 1 Aston. This week, there's 1 RB and 2 Astons. So it's Aston's turn to try and re-overtake RB. Yannick supporting the only RB car on the field. Unfortunately, Yonder's not here today. And Callum and Oren trying their best to move up the field. Callum up in third at the moment, as now he gets displaced by Cookster, who goes up to P3 as Callum will begin his lap. Samurai's in the pits. Oren, I think, will follow him too. But let's look at Yannick, who's come around the final couple corners to see what he can do. 48.0 time to beat. Brushes the wall slightly. And around the final couple corners for the pink and white RB. This looks like a pretty good lap time for Yannick. And it is a 47.0. 1 second clear of Oren on the intermediate. So, is it time for the inters? I think so, because the rain looks a lot lighter than it did at the start of the session. So I think inters are the way to go now for the drivers. As Oren slides into the pit lane and actually crashes his rear tyre into the barrier. But he gets away with that. As Callum beginning his next lap. 7.5 minutes. You've got to be at the right point on the track at the right time with the right tyres. Fnatic, he's been doing this a lot. Just all of qualifying, he's been doing slowish kind of laps, trying to feel the tyres, get a groove, and then right at the end, he delivers a good lap. But we'll see what he can do. Same with Toby. So yeah, Fnatic has got the Stars and Stripes American livery. Haas. I mean, the next two races are America, but yeah, we're 1 week away from that, from Vegas and Texas, and then a bit more south to Mexico, and then jumping back across to the Middle East in Abu Dhabi, and then jumping back across to South America to finish the season in Brazil, all virtually, obviously. Jack 19.9 middle sector, that's a lot better. Found a couple seconds. This is our first look at Jack in wet conditions. Same with Deadgun, I think. As Callum, there, yeah, the times are falling massively. 45.1, considering 5 odd minutes ago we were just dipping into the 40s in general. 31.4. There's across the line for Jack, 50.1. I did say the gaps will be quite big between a few of them. Obviously, wet tyres and inters. I think majority now are on inters. Samurai's back out there now. He's swapped the blue for the green. And Oren is doing the same. As the Haas of Fnatic crosses the line, goes up to 6th. Still needs to find some time. As Toby is about to finish his lap as well. Well, as far as things go, that's a really strong lap from Callum. This track does require a lot of confidence as well. It's that stage of the season where we're hitting some of the most difficult tracks. As across the line for Toby, slides over into P2, but still 1.5 off Callum. So Callum showing a lot of great pace at the moment. For the second Aston Martin, he's really proven himself up there. As Samurai has begun his next lap with just over 5 minutes to go in the session. Into turn 1, bouncing over the inside curb. You can get away with a lot of track limits these first couple corners. But it's all about maintaining the speed, having the confidence on the power to not lose the car and carry that momentum through sector 1. Blast your battery as, yeah, the rain is still there, but I think it's easing off slightly. First sector split then, it is a 31-0. So he's found 1.3 in just the first sector alone. We were seeing, what, 31.9s from the likes of Yannick. So that's a whole second in just, what, 5 corners. So through the second and longest sector on the track, Samurai continues his way on. He kept saying all these sessions, you know, you want rain. Now this is the part where he doesn't want a rain-affected session, and then obviously the opposite happens. Right up close to the barrier, trying to push his luck. I think it was a bit of debris there. Through the Anderson Bridge, sliding into the hairpin, trying to push to the max. Just over 4 minutes to go then. Oren is just about to begin his lap. So we'll see middle sector split. 15-8 now, considering what Callum was doing, well, Callum and Dello and whatnot were doing 17. So this will definitely be contending for the top spot. 1 hairpin and 2 quick left-handers to go for the Williams. Getting on the power through the huge curbs. And then 2 left-hand corners to go. Give it everything. Blast what you have left. Get on the power as early as possible to reduce the gap to the line. And it's a 44-7 for Samurai to go 3.5 tenths clear of Callum, who should be getting one more go. Same with Toby, same with Yannick. Oren, 30.3 first sector. So that's about 7 tenths quicker than what Samurai was doing. As Cal goes to P5. And yeah, we still haven't seen the likes of Grush join, but Dello 15.6 middle sector. Let's see what he can do across the line. He goes provisional pole now, 4 tenths clear of Samurai. Just invite Grush. There we go. Callum exits the pit lane then with just under 3 minutes to go. So we've seen 1 minute 15s in the middle sector for Dello and Samurai. Oren 1 minute 14. So Oren on fire at the moment once again. But this is only qualifying. A lot can change for the race. And, well, we have no idea what conditions the race will be either. I'm just going to check the chat to see. Well, there's been not really much talk, so I'm assuming the race will be dry. Offboard, it always looks like it stopped raining. Around the final corner then for Oren with 2 minutes 23 left on the clock. Oren crosses the line by 1.2 seconds to take provisional pole at Singapore, and he should be able to get one more run in if he's fueled. But yeah, we'll see. Toby now exits the pit lane. 2:05 remaining. He's got about 22-second buffer to the line. And Yannick has got about a 17-second buffer to the line. And Fnatic has got about a 10-second buffer to the line. And, well, Deadgun is starting this race in last. He's in the pits. So Fnatic should be the last one to cross the line now. 1 minute 43 left on the clock. So these will be the final runs. Cal, and that's Dello going into the pits. So Dello's done. Second at best then for the Mercedes. And Samurai too. So Samurai and Dello will not be any higher than second and third. So that's a big opportunity for Callum, Toby, Yannick, and maybe the likes of Cookston, Fnatic if they get a strong time on the board. And Oren could potentially cross the line and go even quicker with the track getting ever more evolved. But that's already quite a big margin for him to Dello. Who can stop him? Maybe Callum, his teammate, could stop him. Aston locking out the front row, taking us back to the Season 4 days with this team. See what can happen. Number 95 versus 6-7. Toby, Yannick, Fnatic as crossing the line there. Went Cookster to go P5 ahead of Toby. So that might be the best he can do unless he can just go again with his battery. Not really. So 30 seconds left on the clock then. Oren looks like he's going again. Down into turn 1. Over the inside curb. Getting the power on, sliding into turn 3 as we see the Haas on the minimap, followed by the RB, followed by the other Haas. That is Toby, Yannick and Fnatic starting their final lap as Oren slides it out onto the straight with a few seconds to go. Fnatic will just make it across the line, so he'll be the last to finish his lap. Oren into the first sector split. He's down by a tenth and a bit. It did look a bit scruffy through those first few corners, but he carries on. Maybe he can still find some time. Callum, 13.999 in the middle sector split. He's going strong. He could definitely make it an Aston front row lockout here. As Cal goes up to P4 there, a couple hundredths ahead of Callum, but I fear that Callum is going to absolutely destroy that lap time. He's up by 1.9 seconds. Could we see Callum dislodge Oren from pole position? 43.1 is the time to beat. 42.2 for Callum. And now we see what Oren can do in response. His teammate has stolen pole position from him in the dying stages of qualifying. So let's see Oren's response. 13.9 was Callum's middle sector. 14.2 is Oren's middle sector, but he's up by a tenth. So it all depends on this final sector for Oren. And don't forget we've got 3 behind him also on lap times. So 4 corners left for the championship leader. His teammate is currently on pole position. Cookster goes again, even with that low battery, to go P3 and knock Dello and Samurai down a place. So, round the final corner, who's the better Aston in qualifying at Singapore? Oren crosses the line, and he takes it by 64 thousandths ahead of his teammate. Close stuff, but we still got cars behind. Toby, Yannick, and Fnatic are all still on valid laps. So let's see what they can do. Haas locked out the second row last week. Right at the end, sliding across the line goes Toby to P3. He's 4 tenths off. What about Yannick across the line? He's P3 now. And now we finally wait for Fnatic to cross the line. Don't think it's enough, but Haas make it 4th and 5th. Yannick in front of them both to make it P3, and it's an Aston Martin front row lockout by 64 thousandths. Callum gave it his all, but Oren once again 65 thousandths is on pole position. Wow, I thought the gaps might be quite big, but always at the top. It's once again under a tenth. That is bad news for the likes of Samurai and Dello down in 7th and 8th, who've got a lot of work to do. They went too early with their run. They should have waited until the end. And look, it's cost them. Wow. Fair play from Callum, Yannick, Toby and Fnatic. But Oren, showing why he's the championship leader, has just done it. And yeah, dry conditions for the race. Yeah, Oren said he found 9 tenths in that fight, in those final couple corners, as he was actually down, wasn't he, after the first 2 sectors on Callum by 3 tenths. So he definitely found what he needed to in the last sector. I guess that's what makes champions. And at the moment, Oren on pole, his closest rival down in 8th. So it's looking good for now. Anyway, formation lap will begin soon. And we'll await for what will be the longest race of the season. 31 laps around what is already one of the longest tracks, even with the modifications. This will be minimum 50 minutes, when usually normal races are anywhere between 40 to 50. You're lucky it's not raining for this one too, otherwise we'd be looking at an hour. But if we get no interruptions, safety cars, virtual safety cars, maybe it can be in the 40s something. Anyway, formation lap begins then. Aston locking out the front row. It really is like, oh god, how long? 4 years ago. Right, let's have a look. Don't need that yet. So, Oren, Yannick and Jack start on the hard compound tyres. Yannick, who usually does like to start on those tyres, up in 3rd, so that's a great qualifying for the RB. I think that's a joint best qualifying, or maybe even his best so far. So, good on Yannick, considering it is RB versus Aston in the Constructors. RB 6 points ahead of the Green Machines. They are in a great position right now to gain a lot of points on the sole RB. Haas in 4th in the standings. They're trying to close up to the Sol Williams, who are, trying to close up to the top 2 teams, but there is quite a bit of a gap of about 50 to 60 points. Cookster, he's been solid at qualifying this season. Race pace has let him down a little bit. He's fallen a bit further behind. But yeah, Toby all the way down to Cal on the mediums, so it's all going to be downright down to skill, luck, pace, and awareness. I think that'll be the key one. Yeah, Dello and especially Samurai in 8th. They got it all to do. Samurai, who started 6th in Netherlands. No, 6th in Baku last week. Made his way up to 4th after the first couple laps. And put himself in a good position. Tyre wear is going to be key as well. I'd say even warnings will be key. You can definitely get a few around this track. That obviously cost Birdie the win last season. Started 17th and won on track. But the penalty he got in the dying stage has dropped into 4th. What might have been this season if he turned up a bit more. So yeah, should be a medium hard medium strategy for these drivers. Maybe a 2-stop. I wouldn't say that's completely out of the question. However, the pit lane is quite long, so that's the only issue with a 2-stop. What was it? Last season we saw a virtual safety car. Once it ended, the top 2 got drive-throughs, and they were the top 2 in the championship fighting. At that point, they ended up finishing 2nd and 3rd that race due to Birdie's pen, allowing Finn to win the race. A lot's changed in one season, but it's the same old story. 2 drivers fighting for this World Championship in EXFL Tier 2. And we're about to gear up to write the next chapter of it. The final race before the final quarter of the season. 5 races to go after this. 5 lights on ahead of the drivers. Lights out in Singapore. It's the 2 Astons going into turn 1, but who leads into turn 1? Callum or Oren? Down the inside goes Callum as Oren loses places to Yannick as well. Toby and Samurai's up to 5th already, gaining 3 places as Fnatic losing places as is Cookster. So it's Callum on those mediums leading the Singapore Grand Prix ahead of Yannick, then Oren, then Toby, then Samurai right behind the rear end of the Haas, as right to the back that's Cal dropping down once again. An unfortunate lap 1 as Oren just didn't go, wasn't confident as Fnatic and Dello find a way into sector 2. Going off the road there is Dello as Samurai all over the back of the Haas as down the inside Cookster find a way with Fnatic close to the wall stuff as Jack is making his way up in the 9th, fighting away with Dead Gun and then Cal. So unfortunately Groosh did not join in time. So it's Callum on the mediums, making great use of the yellow striped tyres ahead of Yannick, Oren, Toby, under big pressure from Samurai and Dello all over the back of him. And he needs to make sure he sticks within a second of these guys using his mediums so he doesn't let the hard runners get an even bigger advantage. So down into the start of sector 3, single file, bit of a gap behind, but Jack and Deadgun. Deadgun looking to the inside, Jack goes deep. But just about hangs on as Cal with the switchback, trying to overtake the Red Bull, and looks like he's got that done. So, Callum with nearly a second advantage. Oren all over the back of Yannick. And biggest gainer at the moment is Samurai. 8th to 5th. Biggest loser at the moment. It's the opposite. Fnatic, unfortunately. 5th to 8th. So Callum leads on lap 1 by Yannick, and then Oren, and then Toby. Just about keeping within a second ahead of Samurai, then Dello, Cookster, Fnatic, Jack, and then Callum trying to make his way up even higher as dropping out the order. Toby, not for the first time in the last few weeks, has spun on a straight. And once again, it's right near Samurai. So, well, whatever happened, that's freed up Samurai. Up in a 4th, down the inside. Oren trying to make a move on Yannick, who goes off the track. So Oren find a way. And this brings back deja vu for Oren. Round the outside of an RB, but this time round he's not in the wall. Oren into P2 over the curve, and he's made it an Aston 1-2 again. Yannick trying to fight back at the Aston, but this time round he can't get ahead. So yeah, Oren pressured Yannick. He went deep. Some would argue Yannick had to cede the position because of that, but it didn't matter. Oren went round the outside and made a great move on the RB, and then got ahead, and then went to the inside. Don't know if he got a warning. Either way, good move from Oren, but that's allowed his teammate to really pull away. And now Samurai is trying to overtake the RB. He can see his rival right in front of him. There's only one car between him and Yannick. He's got double the battery of the RB, and you'll see the RB flashing, but Yannick's trying to fight Oren again, round the outside. Oren breaks deep, and could that allow Samurai to go round the outside of Yannick? It's going to be close. He's opportunistic. He's capitalistic. Samurai from 8th is now up to 3rd by the end of lap 2. And next up is his championship rival. And he's gaining on Oren, who's flashing. Down the inside goes Samurai. Oren locks up, and he'll stay behind for now. And he'll wait for the next DRS zone. The more they fight, the more Callum is getting away. So, Oren 24%, Samurai 21%, Yannick under pressure from Dello to the inside. The Mercedes and RB make slight contact, but it looks like Yannick will stay ahead for now. So, Oren breaking the toe as he sees the red light flashing, does the Williams, but he's actually not close enough for now on the Aston Martin as Yannick stays ahead of Dello, who goes over the bump as a Fnatic under pressure from Cookster as well. Will hold off just for now. There was not quite enough of a gap for Cookster to try what Oren did on Yannick. Wow, that was close. But yeah, do not know what happened to Toby. He did a Vettel as we see the two rivals side by side heading into a corner. You barely want to keep a single file formation, and that was very close to big contact between the pair. Samurai looking racy, fighty. Oren under big pressure on those hard compound tyres. In a few laps, he should have the grip. But right now, Samurai's making the most of it. Oren defensive, Samurai to the inside, makes Oren go deep, and now he'll get on the power. He has the DRS, but Oren has slightly more battery. And this is Samurai fighting like we've never seen before, as Callum nearly 3 seconds ahead of his teammate. You'd think this would be the opposite. You'd think Callum would have been the rear gunner, but he's getting on with it. He wants to win on his return season. He got a podium in the first race, but since then he's not really had much luck. As that's Deadgun and Jack fighting for 9th. And yeah, Samurai right now just needs to bide his time, save his battery, and try again, because that's what Oren's doing. As, yeah, Deadgun loses out to Jack, and Dello loses out to Cookster and Fnatic. So Fnatic's up to 5th now. He's back to where he started. So good stuff. Yeah, I have no idea what happened to Toby there, why he spun, but I think this might be a bit more definite. Samurai gaining on Oren, who goes defensive to the inside. Samurai's going to have to swap to the outside. Round the outside goes Samurai and Oren, who leaves the space. Samurai on the outskirts of the track to the inside. Oren goes deep. Samurai spies an opportunity now to go to P2. What about Oren? To the inside, holds him off. There's Yannick on the inside now of Samurai, who's boxed in. Oren will notice that, slow him down. Yannick to the inside. Has he got the move? Yes, because Samurai's gone deep and off the track. So Samurai has lost a place to the RB. And, wow, what is it, 6 cars separated by about a couple seconds. So Yannick's back in front of Samurai. Oren once again deploying a masterclass of defense like he did last week. Except last week he was on ancient tyres. This time round he knows he's going to have the benefit soon of the tyres on the medium runners, so he's got to keep them at bay. Meanwhile, he's allowing Callum to reach into the distance on his mediums. And, well, if Oren thinks he can still beat his teammate and win this race, he's not in that bad of a position to do so. Because he'll go long, he'll gain on Callum soon anyway. I'd say around lap 6 is when the swap starts to happen. And, yeah, Yannick will be relieved too, because he's on the same strategy as Oren. And Oren's got no battery, literally. So could we see Yannick up in the second soon as well, as we see the Mercedes and the Red Bull fighting away at the back of the train. Dello versus Cookster. Dello to the inside on the Red Bull. Gives him a little touch, and maybe that was a bit much, because I think Cookster may have even gone off the track there slightly. So aggressive stuff from the Mercedes. So Yannick can see the red light flashing, but Oren's got good straight line speed. That's helping him, because the straights around here, while helpful, aren't actually that long. So you need to be quite near the car in front to get a better advantage of a better chance of overtaking them. So I guess Toby's going to be resorted to a 2-stop then. Samurai once again, too close, he's into the wall! Is the Williams, and he's got wing damage. Once again, same corner he's struggling with. And we got yellows, I think that's Jack and Dead Gun. There's been an incident between them two as well. So Samurai has gone too deep, and he's gone into the wall. Now he's lost part of his front wing, which is going to really affect his performance. And he's lost a place to Fnatic, who's gained a place now. Samurai pushing too hard in the dirt. Yeah, he was right behind Yannick, heading into the left-hander. As you can see, Oren's starting to close the gap now to Callum. But Callum's looking smooth at the moment. Good battery and whatnot. No one's got any fuel lights, so that's not an issue. And you can see Samurai's lost a second now to the guys in front. He'll do his best, but he's going to lose a lot of performance. And he's got still quite a bit to go on his stint. And will he have to change that front wing? It was looking great. He had a shot at P2. But ever since he went wide and Yannick got ahead, one lap later, it got even worse. Said there's an invisible wall there on the inside, but I don't think either lap he's been able to hit it, because he's gone wide both times. Now he's under pressure from Dello, who's all over the back of the Williams to the inside. It's no contest. Dello is now up in a 5th. Over the curb, but keeps on the track. So, you wonder, with the 2-stop, in terms of tyre wear, so far, so good. See, there was an incident between Deadgun and Jack there. I think it's safe to say, as long as both finish the race, one of them is going to get their first points in EXFL Tier 2. Will it be Jack on the 2nd time of asking? Will it be Deadgun on the 10th time of asking? Oren, once again, closing by about half a second per lap on Callum now. It is lap 6, like I said, so he should be able to close that advantage. But by the time he catches Callum, will Callum be into the pits? And then he'll have the advantage and create a gap. And then Oren right at the end will have the advantage again and close that gap. So it's Aston versus Aston. And will Callum even play the team game in terms of the championship to help Oren out? Or is Oren fine on his own? Does Callum want to be the number 1 today? We will find out. Oren and Yannick using their hards to good effect now. Dropping the pack behind. Fnatic doing his best to stick with. Yellows, and that's Cal out. And that's a virtual safety car. I think Cal's crashed into the pit lane. And that's the 4th time now in the last 2 races where someone's crashed or something and there's not a safety car. It's just a virtual. And the leaders have already gone past the pit lane, obviously. So Deadgun and Jack can obviously benefit from this, but they are quite a while behind anyway, as Jack runs into the back of Deadgun. Obviously the least experienced drivers in the field. They might come out around about where Toby is. So, virtual safety car. The obvious key part of this is the restart. Try not to get a drive-through, because this is what happened exactly last season around about this time. But yeah, really unfortunate for Cal. DRS enabled, VSC is over, no one's got a drive-through. And we resume. That's probably helped Callum a little more than Oren. Not close in as much. And it's probably given a few of the drivers a bit of breathing room to reconsider or just reevaluate their strategies and where they are right now in the race. Fnatic's got a lot of battery, considering he doesn't have DRS, so he may as well use it a little. We know Fnatic likes to go long into these races, so expect him to stay out a little longer than whenever Callum decides to pit. If any of them pit now, within the next few laps, they're doing a 2-stop. 100%. So Callum starts lap 8, and it is just under a 3-second gap to Oren. This final couple corners could catch people out towards the end of the race on old tyres. Slides, penalties. For now, it's okay. Once again, like I said, Cookster just, in terms of race pace, not quite with it to the guys in front. But yeah, Callum, the Season 8 runner-up, fighting away with Logan for the title. Teammates with Oren, the Season 9 runner-up, fighting away with Seb for the title. They make a pretty good team at the moment. And we've only seen a few shades of this back in the early few races of the season. Obviously ignoring Bahrain when they were down in 13th and 14th. That was a horror show for Aston Martin. I'll tell you what though, Yannick's keeping Oren good on his... well, Yannick's making Oren check his mirrors quite a bit, as he's sticking well. Same with Fnatic and Dello. They're really up in their pace to make sure they keep within DRS of this. Look at Fnatic. He's brilliant on his battery at the moment, not deciding to blast too much. You'd think he would push to stick with these guys, but it looks like he's got the pace at the moment. And Samurai, considering he's got wing damage, is not doing too bad of a job to just be just outside DRS of these guys. But he knows if he changes his wing, he's going to lose quite a lot of seconds. And if he pits early, he might lose a lot of time at the end too. So it's a bit of a checkmate situation here. He's lucky he's not on the hard compound tyres like Birdie was, his teammate, a few weeks ago at Spa. So 2.4 seconds, gap's going down slightly, bit by bit. But Callum's still doing a good job. Used a lot more battery than when we last saw it. Oren is currently just saving his battery. Same with Yannick. Perfectly in sync, these two. As Fnatic's used a bit more. Yeah, so none of them are really blasting everything, because obviously they're in a train. Jack still stuck behind Deadgun, so they'll be fighting. Jack on the mediums, so he'll pit before Deadgun. Deadgun will obviously go a lot longer into the race. Pretty sure, yeah, the top 7 are well clear of Toby, so they have a free pit stop if they want. If I was Cookster, I'd maybe start thinking about it too. Maybe pit now, pit onto hards, and then pit onto what other tyre he has, an extra medium or hard. 1.7, gap's going down. What would be an ideal lap to pit if you're starting on mediums? Lap 14 would probably be ideal, but that would be a long way in. So anyway, I'd say lap 10 if you're really that desperate. Lap 11 is probably the earliest you should. 12, 13, 14, 15 are the optimal laps. So let's just go bang in the middle. Lap 13 seems to be a good lap to pit. 12, 13, whatnot. So, Oren closing up to his teammate, and he's bringing company with him. So Samurai has only lost about 3/10 to Dello this lap. Okay, make that 4, about... Okay, make it half a second. Okay, make it 6/10. Crossing that 7/10. Crossing the line. I mean, considering those last 2 corners are left-handers with his damage, that's where he's going to lose most. So, they're spacing out a bit now. Yannick has either made a mistake or Oren's gone with it, or both, because Yannick's now lost DRS to Oren, who's right up behind Callum. So clearly he's got on with it. A lot has just changed in the last half a minute in terms of times. So Callum just in front of Oren. Yannick struggling now. Fnatic, Dello close to him. Samurai still a bit on his own. Cookster not too far behind. And now we'll see the 2 Aston Martins fight. And yeah, I'm sure there won't be any, like, I'm sure Callum won't just let Oren through. I'm sure they'll fight. Callum was brave enough into turn 1 to nick the lead from him. But they are obviously having to think about the constructors against RB. Trailing by 6 points. Right now they would gain 28 on them and be 22 points ahead of them with 5 races to go. So they obviously want this result, but I'm sure either one want to be the one on top. So Oren's clearly too far behind on this straight. Yannick trying his best to get back within a second. He is on those hard compound tyres, of course, so it's not like he's losing, you know, tyre performance to Oren. They're on the same tyres. Anyway, we start lap 10. Anyone in? Nope. Because that's way too early. Look at Fnatic sliding out of the final corner. That's allowing Dello to close. Is he going to try into turn 1? Down the inside goes Dello. Fnatic gives him about 3 cars widths of space. because he knew Dello was absolutely going to go for that. And Dello, clean as you like then, up into 4th ahead of the Haas. So now, do we see a change of leadership? Callum has been leading this race ever since turn 1. Could we be about to see a swap? It looks like Callum's not going to fight it. Oren flies back into the lead now after starting on pole. And yeah, that, as much as that did look a little orchestrated, I'm sure Callum couldn't really do much to defend. So, Oren into the lead now ahead of his teammate. And that's actually allowed Yannick to be back within a second of the top 2. And make all the top 5 within a second of one another. So Samurai, considering he's got wing damage, not actually doing too bad. It was just this corner that cursed him for a couple laps. I don't know how he went so deep the first time round. The second time round, there was dirty air, to be fair. But yeah, what does he do to try and get back into this race? Because he can undercut, but his tyres are just going to be wrecked by the end because he's not really the greatest on tyre wear. It's probably his only weakness in terms of the race. Oren, he's obviously doing a lot better than last week in terms of tyres. Obviously starting on the hard compound. Obviously wasn't going to struggle in the first bit for high tyre wear. But now we're on lap 11. Let's see. Callum stays out. So does Dello. So does Fnatic. And so does Samurai. And Cookster follows too. So, I guess Callum will do his best to try and stick with Oren. 26 points between Oren and Samurai right now. It would be up to 43 if they were to finish like this. It would just revert back to what it was after Hungary, actually. Yeah, between Hungary and Spa, 43-point lead, 4 races later. After a few swaps back and forth, it's at the moment going back to what it was. And Oren inching ever closer towards the redemption he wants from Season 9 of becoming champion. But we're still a few weeks away from that. And I'm sure he's just focusing on this race at the moment. We're approaching half race distance soon. Callum's still doing well to stick within a second as they hit the detection point for the next 2 straights. But he's under big pressure from Yannick, Dello and Fnatic. He knows Fnatic and Dello are practically on the same strategy as him. He had a 3-second advantage ahead of these guys, but Oren has just towed these guys to him. I mean, but luckily they all have pretty good amounts of battery. So, a swap between Deadgun and Jack round the outside. A bit of contact, but it looks like Jack's got the move done. So, good on the Ferrari, who's missing his left end plate. So, lap 12, and finally we see one of the leaders here. Dello blinks first to try and get the undercut. Slows down, gets it stopped. So, let's see how well this will help him. He's obviously got to go the longest way on hards towards the end. We'll see if it works out for him. How good is the undercut? He's going to have a truckload of free air. Do we see Yannick try and overtake Callum, who's blasting his battery? He's going to be close to Oren, but it should be okay. Yannick sees the Aston flashing. Yannick to the inside of the Aston Martin. Callum powerless to defend. Yannick is now ahead of Callum. And yeah, good stuff there. Good for Callum for seeing it out that he probably wasn't going to be able to hang it around the outside. So he stays in third for now. Right, let's have a look. Dello is, let's call it 28 seconds off the leader, but he was in between Callum and Fnatic. So we'll see. 27.5. He's already gained a few tenths in the first sector alone. So yeah, he's definitely going to be pushing. Could he undercut the likes of Callum? I think he might. One lap might be all the difference he needs, especially with how Callum's just lost a place. So he's lost a bit of time. Yannick, I mean, he's doing his best like he was, I think it was back in Hungary, to stick with the leader as much as he could. He's pushing, so we know Yannick's giving it his all. It's already under 27 seconds for the Mercedes, so I think Dello, for now, has done the right thing. But will that one lap pay dividends? Samurai and Callum, I think it's best to pit on lap 13 onto 14. Cookster pitted as well while all that was happening. So Samurai and Callum into the pit lane. What will Williams do then? Will they change the front wing on Samurai, or will they just keep him there? I think they have a front wing ready. And they do. So Samurai's going to lose out here. And I think he's going to drop behind Cookster. But we're seeing Callum. There's Dello coming down the start-finish straight. And he's ahead of Callum by quite a bit, considering it's only been one lap. So, Dello. What's the gap in the end then? Let's have a look. 3 seconds. So yeah, quite an undercut. And yeah, Samurai, as a dead gun, gets the first penalty. Samurai's come out about 5 seconds behind Cookster. So they're all pretty spaced out now. So Dello absolutely flying on that outlap. But Callum will now try and close him down. Dello, who started 7th, obviously has been trying to make his way back through the field. Has done a good job. I pointed out, obviously, Fnatic would go longer than the rest on mediums. And right now he's not doing too bad of a job, considering he's only 1.4 off one of the hard runners. Yannick has lost half a second to Oren on this lap. So Oren in control right now, so the hard runners will have to go until lap, what would you say, 18, 19. So these 5 laps will be quite crucial. See how much of a gap Dello can close in on. And how much will Oren be able to make up. If we look back to this, could Samurai gain enough in these next however many laps to undercut Oren, and then for his championship's sake, maybe just do what Oren did to him and just defend like crazy, or defend as much as he can, I guess. Anyway, look at that. Fnatic's still got the fastest lap of the race. What did Dello do? There's a couple tenths. Deadgun and Jack have been fighting all race. At the moment, they're both going to get their first points finish, but I'm sure one will want one more point than the other. Side by side, Deadgun breaks later. Jack trying to hang around the outside, slight contact, but it looks all good as Deadgun gets the move on Jack. I'm sure they'll be swapping a lot. And as Jack now gets the time penalty, so even playing field now between the pair of them now. Yannick has lost only about 2 tenths this lap to Oren. He's good on the exit there because he lost it in the hairpin. No, he's gained a lot back on the straight. And Fnatic, again, he's doing great considering he's on really worn mediums. His tyre wear is definitely a virtue that's going to help him out a lot in these final races. After winning his first race last week, 15 laps in, I don't really see the point. Oh my God, Deadgun down the inside. He's going to have to get that back. I don't really see the point of going any longer than this for Fnatic, because otherwise he's going to do pretty much half and half on a tyre that can clearly do a bit more than half. But he's gone over half race distance on mediums, so fair play to him. Let's look back at Deadgun and Jack then. So Jack back in front of the Red Bull, slight contact, as I think he got close to the wall there and bounced off the wall into the Ferrari. So he's given the place back at least. And considering Jack is doing this with wing damage, that's not too bad. Callum now, fastest lap of the Grand Prix. A couple tenths quicker than what Fnatic did. Samurai now, fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So that is a big shame that he got wing damage, because if he has this pace... yeah. I mean, look, Callum was 3 seconds behind Dello. He's caught it now to just 1 second. So Callum definitely pushing like crazy. Samurai should be able to catch Cookster at least. To make up for the place he lost because of his wing change and get it back into 6th. As well, you never know what could happen if Samurai can close up to these guys, if they battle a lot. The gap at the top is just staying the exact same now. So Yannick's actually gained on Oren this lap by about a tenth, and Fnatic's kept the same gap on mediums. This is incredible from Fnatic. This is going to be very fascinating to see. Obviously, Dello, I think, will lead the race because he was, what, 28 seconds behind when he pitted, now 20, so he'll be a couple seconds in front of these guys when they pit. Look at that. Yannick is pitting... I mean, okay, well, one, Fnatic's finally in, but Yannick's doing what he did last week. He's started on the hards, and he's pitted for mediums very early. Obviously, last week there was a virtual safety car, so I can understand that, but... I don't know, his mediums really did fall off at the end, did Yannick, so I really don't know about this for the RB. He dropped to 5th in the end last week because he pitted too early. Is he about to make the same mistake? Anyway, Fnatic should be more than fine. It'll be close to see where he comes out with Cookster and Samurai. Samurai can see those two exiting the pit lane. Cookster looks like he's going to be ahead of Yannick and Fnatic, and Samurai is ahead of Fnatic as well. Samurai's managed to undercut the Haas. And can Yannick get ahead of Cookster here? Might be quite crucial. It looks like Cookster's not going to fight it, so Yannick back in front of the Red Bull. So, if Fnatic's there and Yannick's there, Oren, you'd assume, would be just right in front of Yannick. So, it could be close. This lap could be very interesting to see where Oren comes out in terms of, you know, these four. Where is he going to emerge? With Yannick, with Cookster, with his championship rival, or right behind them all with Fnatic? Because there's definitely going to be some swaps. Oren's still leading. Delo still hanging on to P2 ahead of Callum, which will turn into P1 as soon as Oren makes his pit stop. Oren over the curb, into the pits, stops, doesn't speed, and will put the medium compound tyres on to fly to the end. No overtakes yet. Samurai closing up to Cookster. Fnatic not within a second yet. Oren puts the medium compound tyres on. Delo on lap 18 will lead the Singapore Grand Prix. I think become the third leader of the race ahead of Callum, keeping him at bay now, considering how much Callum closed in. So Oren's exiting the pit lane then. There's Yannick. Looks like Yannick will get ahead of the Aston, but Oren, crucially, is ahead of Cookster and Samurai. So that was huge for the Aston Martin. He's lost out to Yannick, but I'm sure he'll close that back. And we see Samurai close to the Red Bull. Samurai 40%, Cookster with 70 and with DRS. So it looks like he'll be able to stay in front of the Williams for now. So Oren helping Cookster out there against his rival. But Samurai, feeling racy, will try and get back at him, because I'm sure Oren will now fly off into the distance. So Yannick and Oren have got 6 seconds to close on Samurai and Delo. You'd assume that was what the gap would be anyway. There we go, it's well over a second. So Samurai next time round will have the DRS and Cookster will not. Over the curb, they're struggling. Fnatic really struggling considering he's on new hards. And Samurai slow in, fast out on the switchback with the battery, with the DRS closing up to Cookster, who's trying to hold on to this P5. Samurai, whoa, a little bit of lag there to the inside on the Red Bull. Goes over the curb, allows Cookster back in front, but now on the power with the DRS. Can he get in front of the Red Bull, who has superior battery, but Samurai has superior straight line speed to the inside. Cookster still hangs on. This is really holding him up with the defense, but Samurai spots an opening on the switchback. Side by side in here is not really what you want, and Samurai lets Cookster through. He yields, so he'll have to try again. Oren closed by a couple tenths. Yannick closed by a second on Callum and Delo. So Delo doing a good job right now, considering just how much Callum took out of that 3-second gap between the pair. Callum is now just stuck behind Delo, who looks like he has good straight line speed. Cookster good on battery so far. That's helping him against his fight with Samurai. And Samurai, who's usually great on battery, has actually got, I think, the lowest of anyone in the top 7. Unfortunately. Just going to have to bide his time. He knows 5th might be the highest he gets today. And considering Oren right now is in 4th, it's not looking too bad, but we know Oren will probably be higher than that come the end of the race. And look at that, Delo's actually got Callum outside of a second right now. So second wind for the Mercedes. And Yannick has gained another second on these guys. For Yannick's sake, he'll want to make sure Oren doesn't get him. And then he closes up to these guys, be within a second, so Oren can't get him. As a Deadgun is ahead of Jack because he's pitted. Obviously on those mediums. Deadgun will have hit later on. And Jack should beat Deadgun by the end because of their interlocking strategies. Look at Fnatic down the inside on the Williams of Samurai, hanging it around the outside. Gives, I think, Fnatic just enough space, but with the, I think, a bit of lag and ghosting, Samurai's managed to hang on to that position. That was very close space given. I don't even know if that was enough space given, but for now it was all right. So Samurai hangs on. Well, you can clearly tell who's been the biggest loser at the moment of all the pit stops. It's Fnatic. Considering he was just over a second behind Yannick and Oren. He's now 6 seconds behind these guys because he's been stuck. Yannick versus Oren. Oren to the inside, now around the outside. Oren is in front of the RB, and they'll close up to these top two soon. But yeah, Yannick couldn't really do much there. So lap 20, 11 to go. Got 3 different fights going on. Fight for 5th, fight for 3rd, fight for 1st. But 2 of those fights are going to merge into one soon. Toby, just again on his own, unfortunately, in no man's land. Dead gun. Jack, now a bit spaced out. Would have been fun to see where Grush would have been in all of this. I'm sure he would have been around this area of the fight. Dello just pulling away from Callum now, as Callum took too much out of his tyres, maybe. And the more these medium runners push to close the gap, is that taking life out of their tyres too, especially Yannick. Here comes Samurai. This time he's actually alongside the Red Bull. This time he's going to go around the outside of the Red Bull. And this time round, he's got the move done on the Red Bull. So Samurai up in a 5th now, ahead of Cookster. And now Fnatic will try and close up as Samurai, this time without the dirty air. Cookster had the dirty air, and that's actually cost him. Because Cookster for so long was in clean air, got a taste of the bad stuff, and now he's dropped 2 places in the span of about 4-5 corners. So yeah, Cookster down to 7th, which probably unfortunately be where he finishes. So Samurai versus Fnatic then for 5th. You'd assume Fnatic will be able to beat Samurai with the tyre deficit. Meanwhile, top 2, only 2 seconds ahead of Oren and Yannick now. Callum has closed a little bit on Dello, trying to get this DRS back. But if Callum let Oren through last time, I'm sure he'll do it again. Just to make his teammate's life that little less difficult. Yannick trying his best to sit within a second. He may have just missed out. He has. That's going to hurt him. So at this rate, Oren should be able to catch Callum, overtake him, then catch Oren, then catch Dello, then overtake him. So right now, Oren's still looking good to win the Singapore Grand Prix. We'll see what Yannick can do as well. I'm sure the podium will be these 4. Who's going to be the one who misses out, though? Right now, I still think it will be Yannick. But who knows? Callum's still on the verge of a second. The top 4, practically the same gap to one another now. Samurai knows every point is critical, and right now he's going to finish either 5th or 6th, while his rival's going to finish minimum on the podium now. But he's looking good to win this race, because he's got a rear gunner in front of him, and someone on the oldest tyres of the lot. Currently in the lead, Callum has lost a whole half a second there. To Dello. So, teammate or not, Callum's vulnerable. 10 to go then. Yannick falling ever further back now. Fnatic to the inside on Samurai. Bit of ghosting there, but this time it looks like the has got the move done. As yeah, Samurai, I mean, he's lagging all around, but he's lost the place. So, Fnatic is in 5th, but he's lost 10 seconds to the 2 he was about 1.5 behind before the stops. So that has really hurt Fnatic's chances here. Would have been really interesting to see where he would have been if he came out in front of Samurai and Cookster. But for now, Samurai's just got to hold on for 6th. Keep Cookster at bay. Or at least just stick with Fnatic for now, as that is the swap between the 2 Aston Martins. It was coming, and Oren is now up in the 2nd ahead of Callum. We start lap 23 then with Dello, and this could be the last lap Dello leads, depending how much Oren gains. But Oren will bring Callum along with him, and Aston, who will still want this 1-2 finish. They've still got some work to do, because Oren's obviously still got to look after those mediums come to the end of the race. Yannick, maybe that's what he's doing right now, just looking after his mediums, because he knows they'll be in a pretty bad state by the end. But Dello's doing a good job so far. maybe that's why Callum gained so much on Dello. A lap after his pit stop, he just wanted to save the tyres a little. Or he made a mistake, or Callum took too much out of his, who knows. Anyway, speaking of tyres, Toby's had those hards on for 20 laps. So I think it's about time he comes in and pits. He's got a free pit stop behind him to Deadgun, who him and Jack should be going to the end now. And, well, actually, out of it all, Deadgun's beating Jack, which is a bit of a surprise, but Jack is closing the gap to him. And, yeah, Oren hasn't actually got DRS on Dello, so Dello continues to lead then for at least another lap. And Fnatic's definitely got Samurai out of 2 seconds. I believe these three are just going to be more spaced apart as the race concludes. Yep, you can tell Callum's doing everything to try and stick within a second of his teammate. Oren's doing everything to try and stick within a second of Dello at the moment. And Dello's just looking fine. He knows if he has enough battery and he's far enough ahead of Oren starting straights, he can stay in front. But Oren will get DRS. And Callum will not. Ooh. As the top 4 are actually coming up to lap these two soon. They'll probably lap them by the end. Yeah, Jack is closing in on Deadgun so far. We've only had one virtual safety car this race as we approach the final quarter. Fnatic now gets a 3-second time penalty, actually. While that might be a glimmer of hope, as Cookster now gets a 3-second time penalty. So that might be a glimmer of hope for Samurai. Unfortunately, I think that gap is going to go well over 3 seconds come the end of the race. But that does help his bid against Cookster, in case Cookster mounted any charge to the Williams. But it looks like it's going to be 6th place confirmed now for the Williams, who made that mistake into the wall. What could have been, considering he was on the verge of P2 at one point, fighting away with his rival. He could have been right here in the fight. So it's a big blow to Samurai's chances for the championship in Singapore. But there's still 5 to go. But right now, the championship leader doing everything right once again. Starts lap 25, and this could be the one where he retakes the lead and sails off under the midnight sky. 15%, 50% for Dello. So it will be interesting because throughout this race we've seen Oren has good straight line speed, but we've also seen Dello have good straight line speed. He needs a good exit here, does Dello, which he has got ahead of Oren. So I think for now he'll just stay in front of the Aston, who's still blasting, seeing how much he gains, a few tenths, but not enough. You can see Callum's dropped off quite a bit, and Yannick. If it wasn't for that 3 second, could Fnatic gain enough on Yannick? Probably not. But who knows. So Dello doing everything he can then. He's going to have to get his elbows out. Oren, who's been very defensive the last couple of weeks, now has to put the attackers on. The Mercedes. Dello, who at the end of last season got his first podium. This season, he got his first pole. He's still yet to win a race. Is Frankie at the, what? This is his 40-somethingth race. He's heading towards 50 race starts. He left at the halfway stage of the season, thinking that's him done for the league. Then he rejoined a few weeks later in typical Tier 2 fashion. And right now, with 5 laps to go, I guess this is his best chance to win a race. But in terms of the tyre life, the odds are stacked against him. But he's doing very well to hold off Oren for now. So Jack has caught the back of Deadgun. Battery on, DRS on. Let's see if he gets him. Closing up to the Red Bull, who's flashing. Deadgun over to the right, Jack to the middle. Deadgun leaves him the space to the inside, slight contact. Deadgun goes off the track. That should be okay for him to stay in front of the Ferrari, who switched back to the Red Bull. The special white livery against the special white livery. Jack getting all out wrong on the exit there, so have to stay behind for now. Let's look back to the leaders. Dello once again has just kept Oren at bay. Callum falling ever further behind now. Let's look at tyres. So yeah, Dello on the oldest tyres. Well, joint with Cookster, ignoring Toby. I guess Toby's just trying to make it to the end, but I'm going to bet Toby's going to get a puncture. Because, I mean, look at that front right. It's definitely seen better days as he nearly loses it at the same place he lost it when he spun and lost his front wing. Oren's actually lost a bit of time to Dello, and the more he stays behind, the more his mediums are going to falter, as Jack has now got ahead of the Red Bull. As look at that, Deadgun's going into the pits. I hope not to retire, because obviously this is his first points finish ever if he finishes the race, but he does go into the pits. As well, he's going to get lapped by Dello and Oren, starting lap 27, 5 to go. As Deadgun puts the soft compound tyres on. If he gets fastest lap, considering his pace, fair enough. Fastest lap right now, 32.0 for Oren. If Deadgun even gets within a second of that, then fair enough. Right, Oren saved up a bit more battery now because Dello's depleted it all. However, he's close. Is he going to go for it to the inside? Goes Oren tight to the inside, over the curb, hits Dello off the track. And, well, for now, Dello can stay in front because that was very clumsy from the Aston Martin. We got yellows. I think that was just Deadgun getting lapped, letting his teammate through. Yeah, Oren did gain quite a lot. I didn't actually think he would gain that much. Went to the inside. It was a tight line, and for good measure, he went over the curb that launches you wide. And considering Dello was to his right, that sent him right into the Mercedes, forcing him off the track. But he was never ahead. And even if he was, that would have been unfair. So he tries again. This time he knows Dello has less battery than him. It's pretty level. It is level now between the two. Dello doing a great job still to keep Oren at bay. Yannick has now closed up to Callum. So medium versus hard, and right now the hards are just hanging on. And as the race gets ever closer to its end, Dello's starting to get a bit more hope here and there, but considering how ancient his tyres are becoming, it's becoming very difficult. Let's look back to Toby, because 24 laps on hards, jeez. Pitted lap, what, 4? No way he makes it to the end without punctures. So once again, Dello gets a good gap between him and Oren. 21 versus 29. Needs a good exit here. Looks like Dello always manages to get a slightly better exit, obviously because Oren has the dirty air. And Oren not blasting this time. Dello knows it because he hasn't blasted all of his either. Down into the end of Sector 1 then. Come the top two, and I'm sure Samurai... Oh, as we see Yannick having a little look at Callum, I'm sure Samurai will be hoping and praying that Dello can keep Oren behind, because that's a big 7-point helpful advantage for him. 18 towards 8, so 26 would go to 36 with 5 races to go. But obviously Oren wants that 36 to go to 43 at the moment. But if Dello can hold off Oren until the end of the race, this would be quite a spectacle for the Mercedes driver. And what a way to get your first win. But it's Oren we're talking about as the championship leader. Surely he's got to get it soon. But considering Dello has taken this down to the last 3 laps, fair play, as Yannick's now nearly lost DRS to Callum. Are the mediums starting to fall off as they are hitting 10 laps? Is this the advantage where the hards start to come back to Dello? We will find out. 25 bloody laps for Toby. Just pit, get the fastest lap or something. Yeah, obviously Fnatic, Cookster and Samurai are very spaced out. Yannick trying to close up to Callum. Oren, who's been around half a second, 6/10 behind Dello, is now only 4/10 behind Dello as we head onto the DRS straight. So is this Oren's best chance? Once again, Dello gets on the power, brings it to 6/10. Oren blasting. Dello now blasting again. And yeah, Oren not close enough. He had one opportunity a couple laps ago. Didn't take it because he hit that curb like he just did there. He's gone off. But we have no idea how close any of these top 4 are to a 3-second time penalty. If Oren got one now, even if he overtook Dello, could he get a 3-second gap? I honestly don't think he could. Dello is driving the wheels off that Mercedes right now with great tyre management and great car placement. You can see Oren struggling now. Wow. Okay, let's. We know what the tyres are. Let's put it back to time pens. Look at that, Oren is losing so much time now. He's lost, well, a second over this lap to Dello, who's miraculously holding on for this victory. He's about to start the penultimate lap. I wonder if Oren's just hanging back a little. It's not in terms of battery, because he's got way less than Dello. Oren goes across the track there, slides. Oren's rear's cooked. Has he done what he did in Baku 1 week ago? Oren's tyre's gone. We got yellows. I think that's Toby. He's finally got... No. What? Oh, that was... I don't know. There was yellow. I think that was just... it was dead gun. Letting way. Oh, Yannick's slowing down. Has Yannick got a puncture? Well, he's lost a lot of ground. There's a lot of chaos happening in the final stages of this race. Oren losing ground. Yannick losing ground. His tyres look intact. Well, I'm sure Fnatic wishes he didn't have a 3-second. Penultimate lap of the race then. And what we thought was Oren closing up to Dello for an easy win. It looks like right at the end the hards have come back to Dello. And yeah, Callum breathes a sigh of relief because Yannick was all over the back of Callum. Look, Yannick's lost his left end plate, so Yannick must have made a mistake. Not a puncture, so that's allowed Fnatic to gain a lot. Don't know if he'll get him and get a 3-second gap. So, 4 sectors left then for Dello. Oren trying to do his best to close up. Dello just has to hang on to these tyres. He's got the Ferrari of Jack in front of him. Jack and Deadgun, who will get their first points finish. What did Deadgun do in the end? I don't even know if that was good enough. Anyway, Dello comes around the final corner then to start the final lap of the Singapore Grand Prix. Lap 31 of 31. 1.1 seconds ahead of Oren, who has no battery to his disposal. Dello has 30%. And Dello, who pitted first out of the front runners to undercut them all, hang on with amazing defence, amazing tyre management, amazing pace, and has kept the championship leader at bay. Dello and Oren, who fought for poles early on in the season. Dello, who left the league at the halfway stage, rejoined, reserving with Mercedes. He tried in Netherlands, came up short. Oren was just too powerful that day, but we've gone to a track which suits Dello's liking a lot more, and right now he's doing everything right that he possibly can, helping those chasing Aston Martin in both championships now, because Aston will still get the lead back ahead of RB, and Oren will still extend his lead ahead of Samurai. But Dello, driving for himself, rejoining the league, and he's just got a few corners left before he can taste victory for the first time. Last week we saw Fnatic become the newest race winner. We're going to get a new winner again in Singapore. Just a few corners left then for Dello, who's been in the league for quite a few seasons now. First podium at the end of last season, first pole at the start of this season, and Singapore, where it's made dreams come true for drivers in the past. 4 first wins and amazing drives, is about to deliver once again. Dello round the final corner. Dello wins the Singapore Grand Prix and is a race winner for the first time in EXFL Tier 2. What a drive from the Mercedes. Oren comes home for P2. Still a great result for him and for his team. Callum gets on the podium ahead of Yannick, who held on for P4. Fnatic 5th. And Samurai will come home for a disappointing 6th, unfortunately. But it's still some points. Cookster in P7. Once again, just a bit distant. Toby, has he actually made it? Wow. No way. Deadgun gets his first point of his Tier 2 career. 10th time of asking, I believe, and it is P10. And Jack, second time of asking, will get a couple points in his second race. And Toby, well, as soon as he crosses the line, 29 laps old are his tyres, and somehow they are going to hang on. They look awful, but somehow they haven't punctured. So Toby will be 8th. Disappointing. Could have been more if not for the spin. We'll find out what happened to that later. But for now, Dello's done it. Dello, the newest race winner in Tier 2. Oh, we got to wait for Jack to cross the line. But yeah, wow. He hung on. Fair play. Looks like Oren's mediums just hit the dirt too much at the end. Same with Yannick, who nearly lost it. So, 26 points goes to 36 points between the top two. 33 points to RB's 12. Aston gained 21. They were trailing by 6. So Aston 15 ahead of RB. So that has been the Singapore Grand Prix. Unlike last week, the stream didn't cut off with a couple laps to go, which is great. Managed to get everything in. Right, let's go try and get... Well, Dello will be on a Discord call, but let's try and get the others in. Oren, there he is. And... Oh god, I don't know if I can talk to any of them, because none of them are Xbox. Right, we've got the top three joining. First Callum, then Oren and Dello should be joining. There we go. Oren and Callum in. Just waiting on Dello. There we go. Right, I mean, I don't know if their audio will be included. I don't think it will. Doesn't matter. Right, quickly go to the showroom to interview a brilliant top three. So, Dello, are you there, mate? I think he just unmuted his mic. Dello, you there? He just spoke, didn't he? Oh, he left. I think he's rejoining. Dello, you there? Okay, we'll let him sort his thing. But Callum, I'm assuming you're there, right? Yeah. Oren, are you there, mate? Yeah. Frankie, are you there now? I think I just heard you. I can hear you. Perfect. Right, we have our top three. And let's start off with our race winner, the newest race winner. A maiden victory for Dello. Frankie, you are an EXFL Tier 2 race winner. Finally, after approaching nearly 50 race starts in the league. Well, you definitely deserve that one and definitely had to drive for it. What a drive. How are you feeling about the race? This your first victory? Everything. Just, wow. It just put into words what all this means. Yeah, exactly. So I was just double checking your 44th race in EXFL Tier 2, and finally, um, your first win. That puts you third for most races before a first win, just after Seb and Eggy. So, yeah, glad it came. You've been picking up the first slowly but surely. Like I said, Mexico, first podium last season, first pole earlier this season. Then you left the league halfway through the season, and it was a bit disappointing because what could have been. But you came back, got what you finally were asking for, and yeah, it must be quite a sigh of relief. Very satisfying. Um, yeah, you're not wrong. Singapore, obviously a difficult track to overtake. You managed to handle the tyres well. Looked like Oren's may have fallen off a little, and was there a bit of worry? Just after you pitted, you saw Callum came out 3 seconds behind you, and then suddenly he was 1 second behind you. But then the gap just kind of stayed how it was. Did you make a mistake, or did Callum just push a lot? What happened there? Fair enough. So yeah, towards the closing stages, Oren had one attempt at you to the inside. He went over the inside curve, which bounced him into you, making you go wide. Any comment on that? Yeah, yeah, exactly. We joined in front, stayed in front. At what point towards those closing stages did you think I can win this? Fair enough. Fantastic. Yeah, when Oren went over a second back behind, I'm sure uh, the pressure eased up a little. So what were your tyres on by the end? Hmm, fair enough. So yeah, excellent tyre management then. Yeah, it did look like the mediums were quite a handful towards 8 laps or longer on them. Um, but yeah, excellent
moves early on as well. Those dives on a Fnatic who completely just let you through, but you sent it on him into turn one. So that was great. Yeah, you started seventh, didn't you? Because you didn't get a run in at the end. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, seventh to first around Singapore, a brilliant way to get your first win. Be very happy with that. I think as far as things go, do you want a full-time seat at Mercedes for the final five races? Because it's yours if you want it. All right, that's fair. All right, cool. But yeah, anyway, either way, well done today. And moving on to our P2 man, Oren for Aston. Hi, mate. Um, so it was another all-round pretty positive race in terms of the championship, well, both championships, and in terms of points. Almost the win, but yeah, let's just go through it bit by bit. So qualifying, that must have actually been quite fun for you, considering you were fighting your teammate for pole, and it came down to a pretty close margin. Um, did you have fun during racing in the wet for pole? Yeah, exactly. Like I mentioned, that's been the only rain affected session we've had in 30 sessions now this season of qualies and races. So well, I mean we got a little bit of rain at the end of Britain, but it didn't matter. So yeah, start. Five lights go out into turn one. What exactly happened? Because Callum obviously got you, and then Yannick as well. But yeah, I mean, you managed to get back in front of him, and then when you saw Samurai was obviously making his way up the order, you once again put on a great defense like you did last week on those ancient tires in Baku. But this time around, you had the tires to yeah really have a good fight with him, and at one point allow Yannick back ahead, and yeah, then you just closed back up to Callum. Yeah, I'm sure he didn't fight it too much. You got back in front. You made the tires last until you had to. Um, you pitted as soon as a lap after Yannick, and then you came out just in front of all the traffic, uh, which allowed you to close up to Yannick again, overtake him again, and close up. So towards those final stages, just take us through the fight with Dello and the tyre wear, because I'm assuming that's probably what let you down for the win. No, that's fair enough. You still gave it everything and came home for a still strong result. I can't believe I'm saying this, but 15 races in, isn't that the first time you've finished in the top five this season that isn't a win? First, sixth, eighth, all season, and that DNF. And now actually at a place that's not first in the top five. That's kind of mad. But yeah, P2 allows you to extend your advantage to Samurai from 26 to 36 with 5 races to go. It's a handy margin. But I mean, we've still got 1/4 of the season to go. Anything can happen. So you all just got to stay on top of it. And any mention in the constructors as well? Obviously, last week was 2 RBs versus 1 Aston. Today, 2 Astons versus 1 RB. So you've managed to snatch back the lead ahead of the RBs by, was it 33, 12, 21, 6, 15 points. So yeah, you were 14 ahead of them, then you were 6 behind them, now you're back in front by 15. So it's swapping a lot, but yeah, any note on that? And Callum's performance today that helped that a lot. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, at the moment everything's looking good for Aston Martin. 3/4 in and leading both standings. I mean, we're sure we're getting closer to the big day. I'm sure. You went battling round the outside of, I think it was Yannick, at that corner, and the fact, literally deja vu. It's an RB you're fighting as well, and the deja vu. This time around, you don't put it in the wall, and this time around, you actually pull off a really good move on Yannick. So yeah, I'm sure there must have been a few memories flooding back in. And I was pointing this out: the runner-up of season 9 partnered with the runner-up of season 8, who both, at the time, both got their teams. I think Callum with Haas got second in the standings, and you with Aston, I think, were third, because Alpine were really good that season. So it's almost like the biggest redemption. I mean, Josh obviously got his redemption with his championship from season 4 to win season X. Yours season 9, season 12. It's building up, and we're getting ever close to it. But I'm sure, yeah, you're just trying to take it one race at a time. So yeah, very well done today. And moving on to our third place spot, Callum. I'll just go back to Aston Martin then, because it's a double podium for Aston. Callum, well done. This is your first podium since the first race, no? Or have you had one since then? Jeez. Well, it's good to see you back, because since then it's been around, the 6th place, 5th place margin, around about that. But today, I got flashbacks to season 8, to be honest. You were so quick at times. So yeah, you must be happy with that result. Yeah, and quali right at the end. I'm sure it must have been slightly frustrating to miss out Aaron on pole, but I'm sure it must have been still quite fun. Yeah, exactly. And the race start, obviously, Oren was saying you were on the better tyre. He was going to pretty much let you go if you had a bad start. And yeah, the first, well, nearly all of your whole first stint was just on your own, just loving life out in front, allowing Oren to hold up everyone, build up a gap. He slowly closed in, and when he closed in, he brought everyone with him. So, so you, so you dropped just behind Oren, and then I think just behind Yannick before your pit stop, and then you were absolutely flying on your outlap to close the gap from 3.2 to just a second to Dello. But then, was it just a similar case with Oren talking about Dello? As soon as Oren caught him, he was just struggling a little. Is that what happened to you? Because you backed off a lot after that. Yeah. Wow. I thought so. Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that. Did he lose at the final corner on the straight? Ah. Huh. So obviously that gave you a bit of breathing room because yeah, he was sticking with you. Would have been quite interesting to see who would have come out on that because it was last week. Yannick, like he did the same thing last week. He pitted so early for the mediums, and his tires died at the end. So it would have been interesting to see if that would have been the same case. Either way, yeah, great haul of points. Another podium for you, which is great. Propelling Aston back to the front, and helping you in the championship. Look, because I'm not gonna lie, you're a bit in no man's land in the championship. You're like best of the rest or something. Um, just double checking it. Uh, 65 puts you on 80 points, and the person in front of you now is Toby on 116. So yeah, you are smack bang in seventh. To be fair, you're not alone because Fanatics kind of right behind you, kind of. But he always outscored him today, so I think 12, 17. So a little fight for seventh going on. Um, but yeah, we haven't really talked about it much. But are you going to be a rear gunner for Oren in these final races? Because it looked like today you were just both kind of driving for yourself, but also just helping one another as much. How far do you think it's going to go? Fair enough. Because yeah, obviously Samurai's teammate Birdie has shown his affiliations with helping Samurai when he decides to race. That is. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, you've been in Oren's position before. You've had your teammate of Ollie in season 8 as a rear gunner. So it all comes full circle a little. But yeah, that has been the Singapore Grand Prix. Well done to Callum on returning to the podium. Well done to Oren for finishing in the top 5. That's not been a win. No, I was kidding. Well done to Oren on extending his advantage and helping Aston retake the lead in the championship and extending his own advantage to Samurai. And well done to Dello on a first ever win on 44th time of asking in the Mercedes. Yeah, that has been Singapore. On to the final quarter of the season, starting with Las Vegas in 1 week's time.